Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So, I got a question here I thought I would answer. I'm just going through my emails, and this one I couldn't resist. Normally, I queue these up and pick, but I like this question. So this question is from Paul, and he says, "Hey, John, how are things going? I hope all is well. I'm glad to see Simple Programmer go from strength to strength. Cool. Got a potential topic for discussion here if you're interested. I've come up with a design for a particular piece of software that will save approximately 1 million euros per year, as well as generate a lot of notoriety for my employer and me and additional sales revenue. I've pitched to the CEO who has given the go ahead for the project. Prior to this, I was advised by my managers to adjust the project timeline to deliver more at greater speeds. I pushed back on this among several other things, and the CEO agreed to everything without argument, a result that I'm happy with. Unfortunately, I conceded 1 point to my managers prior to pitching. The system requires a team of technicians that we would have to hire. I was advised to instead promote that we might divide this work, the 4 technicians' day-to-day work, among existing staff. Since the pitch, I've spoken to a few key individuals within the company who advised me that under no circumstances can this work be divided among existing personnel. My dilemma is that now, after successfully pitching a high-risk project, I have to go back to the CEO, who has a reputation similar to Darth Vader, nice, no joke, and an amend to hire at least 4 additional people. This is one of his pet peeves. I'd appreciate your advice on how to best approach this without looking incompetent if you have the time. So, Paul, this is tough. I mean, you kind of blew it, to be honest, because you didn't give yourself very much of a buffer. Your plan had to go perfectly streamlined in order for it to succeed. And now that you've hit a bump, you don't have any kind of mitigation for that. So that kind of stinks because now you're in this position where you assume that you're going to get the support of the rest of the organization. Probably what it sounds like, just based on the way that you've phrased this, is that they're maybe jealous, they don't like what you're doing, and so they're not going to help you with this, and they feel like perhaps you went over their head by going to the CEO, and now that you're trying to allocate their resources, they're like, no, that's not going to happen. You're not going to dictate how we're going to use our resources. I'm reading a lot into this, but that's what I would assume, politics being what they are. So, what can you do now? So, I would say here that, honesty is going to be the best policy here, just being as clear as possible with, I don't know if you're giving status updates on this project, but this is one of those things I forgot. I did a video about this. I don't know if, I can't remember exactly which one it was. If we can find it, I'll put it here. But basically, I was talking about this idea of giving status updates as much as possible, because the thing is, like, what pisses managers off and people off mostly, excuse me, I would say, is that they get pissed off about not knowing what's going on. So, like, when you're constantly updating someone on the status of a project, they're less likely to get upset. I mean, they might not like what's going on, but at least they know what's going on. But I know nothing pisses me off more than to find out, like, a month later or 2 months later that the car has crashed into the wall, that we're going the wrong direction. I'd rather know immediately, like, if I had an update every week or every day about what's going on, and so it's not a surprise. Then I can kind of course correct. And so I think that's the remedy of the situation here is, if you've already been giving status updates, that's great. If not, then to start just updating the CEO on what's going on and talk about the resources, how you're trying to allocate the resources. Maybe that would be a good place to start, is to email the CEO, or just to start having these status meetings and saying that, okay, so here's what's going good with the project. Here's a hurdle that I'm facing. I wouldn't necessarily say that you can't allocate those resources. I might just pose it as, I'm having trouble getting the resources that I need. I made this assumption that we would be able to divide the work, but that's not I don't have the power to do that. So I think that would be an approach I would take, is that I don't have the authority to do that, but that is my plan. and then basically I would try to lead him to coming up with the alternative to either, you kind of want to give him a choice. So what you don't want to do, in my opinion, is I don't think you want to go in there and you want to say, look, I made a mistake. We actually need 4 people. And so we have to hire 4 people. That's probably going to piss him off. That's probably going to make it seem like a betrayal. But if you come in there and you phrase it and you say, okay, look, I want to give you an update on the status of this. Everything is going smooth. The software is being implemented correctly. We've got all this. The only snag that I'm having right now is I'm getting a little bit worried about the resources because I had mentioned that we need 4 technicians to do this. We had assumed that we could split the work among the existing employees, but I'm having trouble doing this because I don't have the authority to assign those tasks to 4 people to split that among the organization. And without that, then we wouldn't have the resources to man this super machine that, let me remind you again, is going to save you €1 million per year. It's going to generate a lot of notoriety for you, all this, like remind him of the benefits and then of the cost. And then what you'll be doing in that situation is you'll be having him come up with the choice, the information. Like if you give him that information, he will realize, if he's smart at all, which I'm assuming he must be if he's the CEO of a major company, is that he'll probably say, okay, so what I can do is I can either, there's 3 choices. I can give Paul the authority to do this, which could be good for you. I can talk to the people who have the authority and let them know that I want this done and I want these resources allocated or reallocated in order to have this happen, or I can hire those people and put out those recs. Then you're putting the ball in his in his court. You're just updating the status and talking about what hurdles you're facing. That's the approach I would take. I think that doesn't make you seem incompetent. It just makes you seem like you're reporting it, and it also means that you're giving the CEO the choice. You're not forcing his hand, right? In the future, though, definitely this is one of those things where you want to ask for more than what you need so that you can back off, because people are always pleasantly surprised when you ask for more and you need less than what you asked for. But whenever you go back and you ask for more, then it's bad. It's like, it reminds me of like World of Warcraft, when there's this term called nerfing, like when they nerf your stats, like on an MMO or something, they nerf some ability. It's always worse, right? When they take away something, it's better like if they give you something. So there's that psychology there. So anyway, I think that will work. I think that will be fine. Honesty is the best policy. Keep the status updates. If you hadn't been doing that already, you definitely should start doing that, so that it's going to help you, because it sort of takes the responsibility off of you. Like, you're just updating the status, you're doing the best that you can, and you can't control what you can't control, right? If when you don't get the status updates and then all of a sudden you come up with this big problem and you've got an ultimatum, I need this, otherwise this is going to fail. That's like putting someone in a spot, and that's what's likely to piss them off and make you seem incompetent, like you didn't anticipate these things. But when you're just updating the status and saying, this is what's going on and this is what I'm doing about this, then I think that opens up the door to get some help and to not seem incompetent. So good question. I think this is an interesting problem. I think a lot of people should adopt this, especially dealing with superiors. I think the best thing, you never want to go to a superior and say, this is what we have to do. In fact, I think it was, I'm trying to think of, I can't think of the name now, but an advisor to the Queen or maybe it was to King Henry or whatever. But he basically had said that, he always presents the choices, right? Think of it as being like a chancellor, and you present the choices and you highlight the one that you think is best, and you make that one seem the best, but you give those choices so that you're not dictating, because someone in charge doesn't like to be dictated to. They like to have the options and to think that they're making the decision. Even when there's no decision, you got to present those choices and let them have the power. Otherwise, it lets them save face, and it keeps you from getting into trouble. So it's a good lesson, I think. Good technique to follow whenever you're reporting to a higher up, is to just to couch it that way, so that you're not giving the exact recommendation, but you're providing enough clues that there's only one logical choice, or maybe there's a couple, but any of those would fit your equation. So anyway, thanks a lot, Paul. If you have a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogram.com. And if you like these videos, subscribe to the channel. Take care.